Hello and welcome to a new episode of Crazy Buildings. Today we will be talking about the secrets to success when it comes to investments into manufacturing properties, industrial properties in general. And this is going to be yet another interesting one, so join me. So we are on our way from Shanghai to Taicang, located just a bit northwest of Shanghai, and that's where we have a lot of manufacturing companies. And when it comes to investment into business parks, manufacturing properties, and so on, no matter by a real estate investment company or by an industrial company themselves, it is a lot about considering many aspects, multiple parameters at the same time, more than with other real estate asset classes, where you often have one overruling aspect. Maybe with office you want to be located close to a metro station, maybe with residential you want to have a nice view, maybe with retail you want to be located where your competing brands are and where your target customers and so on. But when it comes to industrial real estate, you have to think of so many things at the same time. You need to think of logistics. Is there access to railroad, to highways, to main roads, to airports, to seaport, and so on? How about the government? Will you get all the permits for your production? How about access to talent, access to labor? Where are your suppliers? Where are your clients? And so on. And considering all these aspects, and of course not least of all, how about cost and how about subsidies and so on? Considering all these aspects, balancing them at the same time and starting a process early enough so that you have time to consider all these aspects, that makes for the most successful industrial real estate investments. This map shows the overall Taicang Biomedical Industrial Park, 6 square kilometers, and the rather large Qixi Park here. We are situated in this section 8, and with industrial real estate it is important to note that in addition to having access to all these utilities that we just mentioned, it is also important that you may not necessarily want to be located as close to downtown as possible. Different from commercial and residential real estate, when you are running a manufacturing process or assembly process or R&D process, maybe your business process creates some vibrational noise that might disturb neighbors, maybe even some smell and so on. Therefore, you may actually prefer to be situated a little bit outside of the city center in an environment where your business activities fit in well with the overall situation. And here we are at Plainview International, a very nice business park located in the Shashi district of Taicang. And earlier we spoke about the importance of logistics when it comes to industrial real estate investments. And this is a good example of a successful case. We are 1 kilometer away from a highway entrance and exit. We are 10 kilometers away from the railway station and just 20 kilometers away from the Taicang port. So a very convenient location when it comes to getting parts from suppliers and delivering products to clients. And the business park, the building, they are of a very nice quality. So a lot of international companies are nowadays selling their buildings, selling their properties in cities like Shenzhen, Shanghai, Beijing, in those biggest cities, and moving to the satellite cities around and they are selling out what they built 20 years ago at a profit often, and they're using that cash flow for their business, and they're renting premises in parks like this one. In the old days, there was no good product available for rent, one needed to build. Nowadays, a lot of companies like to go asset light, and they like to rent their buildings. We have a canteen here shared among the tenants in the park. The buildings are of a very nice quality, and the companies not only are asset light, but they also have it easier to obtain and access government subsidies when they're a tenant and they're not occupying that land resource for several decades. So that works out altogether very well. Behind me is the Shashi District Government building of Taizang, and good government support helps a lot to make industrial real estate projects successful, including what we call ease of doing business. How easy and quickly can you get construction permits, renovation permits, operational permits, environmental permits, and so on. And then even more importantly, financial support. Are there tax holidays? For example, can you get the local tax portion reimbursed for the first few years, maybe in full and then in part? Similar with rent, can the government pay your rent maybe in full for the first few years and in part for further more years? Are there renovation subsidies, relocation subsidies, equipment purchase subsidies, and so on? And all of this combined shows that if you choose a district where you can contribute, to the ecosystem as well as benefit from it, then you have an ideal situation, and those are the situations and transactions that we all love to see. And with that, it is time for today's edition of True Story, which consists of two parts. First, the old part, which is something that happened to us actually several times, that a company told us, okay, we need such and such space, and we want only these districts, not those districts, and so on. And we presented options to them, alternatives that met those requirements. However, maybe they weren't perfect, and the client finally went to one of those districts that they had earlier excluded. And we learned from that when clients give their requirements, their specifications, it may not always mean what they say, or what it means to us may be different than what it means to them. They may say, I need to have everything on the ground floor, but they may mean I need everything to have accessibility with big trucks. And if there's actually a ramp that goes to the second floor and I can have big container trucks going to the second floor, they might be just as fine with that. So with that in mind, we nowadays always try to cover the entire spectrum. And we had a client recently that told us, look, we want to be a bit outside of Shanghai, either a bit to the west, Kunshan, Suzhou direction, or towards the south, Jiaxing, Hangzhou direction. And we said, fine. But we said, why not we also include Taizang in the north for comparison's sake, to see what's available there. And it turned out that for their industry, there was the perfect opportunity in Taizang in terms of resources, in terms of building, in terms of land, in terms of government support, in terms of talent, and so on. So finally, they ended up here, and they are very happy. And it turned out that what originally was more like a plan B developed into being the plan A. So it always pays out to take a broader view and cover the entire spectrum of possibilities, and finally make a very well-informed choice.